Hello, everyone. How are you today? My name is Cory Wolf. This is our weekly cybersecurity executive brief, where we tell you everything you need to know about cybersecurity for this week. As part of this, I do want to call out, as part of this, we do have a monthly resource that we think would help you in your day-to-day. And so right now, our monthly resource is a penetration testing ROI calculator. So if you're having trouble selling this upstairs, or really showing the value that the penetration testing brings, this calculator has been extremely helpful to our clients, our colleagues, anyone really trying to show the value of really more than just check the box, compliance penetration testing. So there's a link somewhere in the description. I think it's in the comments as well, for you to check that out. Again, we think it'll help you in your day-to-day. And happy to talk through it if you need any help, or if we could provide any additional insight. So that's our current resource. So with that, though, let's hop into it. And I think first and foremost, we could talk through some of the ransomware activity from last week, right? So on Mondays, we do put out a resource that you should be able to see on your screen right now, talking through recent ransomware activity. And the busiest group last week, so that'd be April 21 to 27, I believe, was a group called Dragon Force. So it's an interesting group. Threat intelligence isn't really sure if it's a nation state or a hacktivist group, or what their true motivation is. They really came to be a public group back in 2023, where they executed the Ohio lottery ransomware attack. So they've been busy for about a year now. One interesting thing about them is that we believe they're based in Malaysia, but one interesting thing about them is that the island nation of Palau had a cybersecurity incident, and it was originally thought to be ransomware because there were 2 ransomware notes left, saying, hey, your files are encrypted, go to this Tor site to make payment. But there were 2 separate ones left, one from Lockbit, and this occurred in March of this year, so a month or so ago, one from Lockbit, and then one from Dragon Force. The interesting thing about Lockbit is they've been shut down for a little bit now, in a joint US-UK operation. But there were 2 ransomware notes and no ransomware to be seen. So the files were encrypted. There might have been data exfiltration, we're not sure. But the really interesting part about that is that it lined up with the US and Palau had come to an agreement on military bases and other military funding. And needless to say, there were probably some other countries in that geographic area that weren't too happy about it. So some threat intelligence seems to think that they're aligned, and the ransomware notes were merely a smoke screen. The other big news, which we're going to talk about a little bit here in just a bit, is that Change Healthcare did come out and admit that they paid the $22 million ransom to the Alpha V / Black Hat ransomware group. Previously they had not admitted this. It was identified through blockchain analysis, through posts that the group sent out themselves, basically saying, hey, we've been paid. This is the case where there's a little bit of a double extortion going on. It's ransomware as a service. So Alpha V / Black Hat had a ransomware platform that affiliates could use. In this case, it was Ransom Hub that used the Alpha V ransomware platform. And so the ransomware platform handles the payment. So Alpha V received that $22 million payment, skipped town, pulled an exit scam, and told Ransom Hub to figure it out. And so Ransom Hub came back and said, hey, listen, Change Healthcare, you need to pay us X amount of dollars. I don't remember the fee, or we're going to release this data. So interesting week. There's a link to this as well in the comments and in the description if you're interested in a little bit more detailed analysis on this. But sticking with Change Healthcare, so Change Healthcare, I think we might all know at this point, excuse me, I think we might not all know at this point that Change Healthcare is owned by United Health. And today, actually, their CEO, Andrew Witty, is testifying before Congress about this incident. And so he's going to talk through what happened, what occurred, future state plans. So this is a written statement that was provided yesterday, I believe, that Andrew Witty will be talking through. But we learned some interesting things from this. So if we look at this, we can, see kind of boilerplate stuff, thank you for having me, et cetera, et cetera. But let's get into, where is it here? Where they actually talk about the ransomware attack. So, they give themselves a pat on the back to do what they need to do as far as boilerplate language goes, but where is it? Here we go. Criminals use compromised credentials to remotely access a Change Healthcare Citrix portal. The portal did not have multi-factor authentication. So what this means is that the ransomware group used discovered credentials. Who knows how they got them? Data breaches, other leaks, who knows? It's very easy to get credentials, quite honestly. But they took a list of credentials that they had and essentially sprayed a Citrix portal owned by Change Healthcare and found valid credentials. When they found those valid credentials, there was not MFA enabled. There was no MFA enabled, and they were able to gain access to the internal network. So this is interesting. Maybe it's not interesting because, I get asked often, how can we protect against ransomware attacks? What are the things we need to do? The fact of the matter is that, and I'm just making up a percentage here, I don't have the pure data, but probably 90% of all ransomware attacks, the initial access is through low-hanging fruit. So no MFA enabled, reusing credentials. In fact, Rapid7 put out a report recently about ransomware in 2023 where they say, basically the top two ways that threat actors get in is through compromised credentials, so credentials that have been seen somewhere else before, and known vulnerabilities. So basically password reuse and not patching quick enough, are basically how they get in. Ransomware groups are not typically advanced. We do see some, for example, with MoveIt, where they developed, MoveIt was the one that was being exploited a few months back. The ransomware group in that case either paid for or developed an ODA of their own to use against MoveIt, but most of them are doing very basic stuff. And who knows why it changed? Who knows? I'm a little bit biased, but something like attack surface management or a red team engagement would have caught this immediately. Who knows? Maybe this particular portal wasn't in scope for testing. Who knows? But at the end of the day, threat actors found credentials. They sprayed the Citrix portal with those credentials, realized there was no MFA, and that's all she wrote with that. So I would suggest you follow up on that today. I don't remember the exact time that Andrew Witty's testifying, but definitely something you should check out. The other one that I thought was interesting and we should probably talk about is the Cisco ASA. So Cisco ASAs for a few months now have been getting breached by multiple 0 days. This continues to showcase the trend of perimeter devices, as you can see on the screen here. Perimeter devices just being absolutely attacked. So last time we had our weekly brief, we talked about the Palo Alto issue, to where the Palo Alto firewall and VPN devices were just getting mass exploited and still are because a proof of concept was released. But definitely something you should look at. At the end of the day, there are multiple vulnerabilities in these attacks, and really good research and development into developing these ODAs. But at the end of the day, Cisco perimeter devices, infrastructure like this that runs the internet, are going to be high-profile devices or high-profile assets for nation states and other threat actors. The group that exploited this particular issue has been tracked by Cisco and Microsoft by a couple different names. But at the end of the day, a lot of work went into developing these exploits, developing the post-exploitation techniques that were used, and a really big one. At the end, Cisco has released patches. You do need to be able to prove that you have a licensed device in order to get this patch. But if you have Cisco ASAs in your network, you need to patch them yesterday because this is a real deal issue that's being exploited in the wild. So that's Cisco. Last one, real quick, as far as AWS buckets go. So there was there was a developer who had an AWS bucket and realized that, he had a client and he was saying, yeah, this should only cost you, $20 a month or something like that. He spun it up and it ended up being a $1,300 bill from AWS. So he didn't feel too good about that because he told his client it was only going to be $20, but it ended up being $1,300. He started to look into it. And what he discovered is that, any put request, HTTP put request to any bucket, whether it's authorized or not, will show up in your AWS bill. So what this means is there's a sort of new attack name, I guess, called denial of wallet, which means that threat actors, if they wanted to, could just send thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of put requests to your AWS bucket and just drive your AWS bill through the roof. When this developer found this issue, he wrote it up in a blog post. AWS did say that they were going to waive the charges. However, they weren't very discreet as to they weren't very clear whether or not they would do that for all clients and all customers of AWS. Thought that was an interesting one. Just like the rest of them, there's a link in the description and in the comments to more information if you're interested in learning more. But that's it for today. So I appreciate you spending the time with me. I hope you have a great rest of your week, an excellent weekend, and we'll see you here same time next week. Speak soon.
Thanks for watching. For more content like this, make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and visit us at risk360.com to learn how we can help your business succeed.